This is Sparta!
Hello guys. I forgot to push power on my microphone, so I'm just gonna cue you through this. It's gonna be a little bit weird, I know, but I'd rather do this than record the whole video over. So it's gonna be kind of like a Chinese movie, but just bear with me. So this is Intro to Yoga base poses. This will be a lot of the poses that we do in most of the asanas, and supine means on the back. So if you'll just bear with me throughout this video and the sound, I'll just do my best to cue. So the first thing we're going to do, this might be a little bit funny too. I'll probably make fun of myself a little here. The first thing we're going to do is legs up the wall post as soon as I get done talking. All right, so what I'm doing here is I'm scooting my hips all the way up against the wall. My lower back is flat to the floor, and I just bring my legs up the wall and extend my arms out to the side. This is a very relaxing pose. We a lot of times do this at the end of an asana in replace of shavasana. So you just stay here and take a few breaths. Get that Ujjayi breath started. Breathe in deeply, expand the belly, breathe out, contract the belly. Now from here, I'm just going to assist my legs open and let them fall out to the side. You're going to pull your feet back, keep them pulled back, keep your quads tight, and just hang out here for a little while. After a few minutes, you can start to pull one leg down a little further at a time, just feeling a good inner thigh stretch. You can also put some weights on your feet or your ankles. Now from here, I'm going to begin to bend my knees and start to assist my legs back together. Now you can take your feet down to the wall and push yourself, roll backwards into a somersault, or you could just come to the side and push up and come back over onto your mat. So from here, we're going to do a shoulder stand pose. You can go ahead and be laying onto the back. All right, so just come flat onto the back. Make sure your upper back is in contact with the floor, all the way from shoulder blade to shoulder blade. After you get that, you're going to bring your legs in. You may need to get a little momentum by kicking your legs back to pull your hips up off the floor. So once you get your hips up, you're just going to scoot your body up and try to get it as high as you can, as vertical as you can, keeping your neck long. Don't crunch your neck. You bring your elbows underneath you for, this is why they call it a shoulder stand. Your elbows are supporting you here. The in between your shoulder blades are still flat to the floor. You'll want to bring your body as vertical as you can. When you first begin, you'll probably be down like I am right here, but as you get a little bit better, you'll straighten out some. And this again is called shoulder stand. So your legs are tight and strong. Now from here, we're going to come into plow pose. So all I'm going to do is just begin to lower my legs down to the floor and try to touch my toes towards the floor. Again, keep your neck nice and long. And I forgot to say here also that these are inversion poses. What an inversion does is get your blood flowing in the opposite direction towards your head. It really works well for brain function, for anxiety, for memory issues. It also stimulates your lymphatic system, which is good for fighting infection and just to generally keep you young. So in this plow pose, you got to have your feet touching the floor, and you're going to try to get your back in a vertical position like in the shoulder stand. And if you can let go of your lower back, interlace your fingers, and bring them down towards the mat for a chest opener. Now you don't want to keep a slight micro bend in the elbows and not hyperextending. This is very good for the low back, for the chest, and for the neck. Now to come out, just slowly, if you need to, bend your legs. I like to keep mine straight, and just very slowly and gently lower the hips back down, one vertebrae at a time. Now, I also like to get a little bit of ab work here, so I'll slowly lower the legs 1 inch at a time. It's very good for the lower abdomen. I get about 1 inch from the floor, and then I hold for just a second and then let it go. So from here, I believe I do bridge pose. So I'm going to bring the feet in towards the hips. The feet should be pointed towards the front of the mat, straight. They're about hip distance apart. Now I'm laying down onto my back. Bring the feet in as close to the hips as you can. Feet are hips distance apart. Now I'm going to push into the hands and lift my pelvis up off the floor. From here, there's 2 different areas that you can work. You can tighten the glutes for a good hip strengthener, or you can let the glutes go and only use the low back. It just depends on which area you want to work more. You can get more height out of the posture if you squeeze the glutes. Now the full version of the pose is I'm going to start to shimmy onto the outsides of my shoulders here in just a second. There we go. I'm going to interlace the fingers behind the back. Try to open that chest up as far as you can. Keep the neck long. Keep those hips pushed up towards the ceiling. And just hold here. Again, I do apologize for this audio quality. I figured I needed to get this video out there because there are several people waiting on these intro to yoga videos. Now I'm releasing the hands and lowering the hips. From here, I'm going to do a more advanced pose called wheel. You could attempt it if you'd like, but I would suggest really working on bridge pose first and opening up the shoulders. I myself am still not proficient in this pose. I can't hold it very long if I've not worked my way up to it. So I brought my feet in close to my pelvis, and now I'm going to flip my hands over underneath my shoulders, and they're going to be pointed outwards just a little bit. I'm going to start to push into my heels and lift my pelvis, come onto the top of my head, not putting much weight into my head, and then push into my hands. And then you want to pull your knees together and push your head through your arms. This is wheel. Like I said, I can't hold it very long, so come back down. Oh, so let's see. From here, I believe we're going to do a wind removing pose. So I'm grabbing my strap. If you have a strap, go ahead and get yours. If you're very flexible, you could probably use your fingers, but to me, it's a lot more relaxing if I use a strap. So for half wind removing pose, I'm going to bring my left knee in towards my chest, flex both feet back, and then bring my hip around and up towards my shoulder, around my ribs. Really feel a good compression in that left hip. Now you want to keep your right hip on the ground, your right leg straight and flexed. If your right hip starts to come off the ground, you want to release some of the pressure in your left leg. From here, I'm going to come back to center. Gonna grab my strap, loop it around my foot. This is hand to big pose. I'm sorry, supine hand to big toe pose. So my right leg is still flexed and flat to the floor. My left leg is flexed, toes pulled back, and I'm just pulling my leg in towards my head. Feeling a stretch in the hamstring. There's 3 different ways you can do this pose. So I'm gonna grab the strap with my left hand, and I'm just gonna open my left leg out to the left. Extend my right leg, my right arm over to the right. And this is a very good inner thigh opener. And you're pulling your leg towards your head and towards the ground at the same time. Keep your right hip on the floor. If it starts to lift, you need to come out of the pose a little bit. These are great poses to do just while watching TV, if you want to work on your flexibility. Now I'm bringing my leg back to center. I'm going to switch the grip of the strap to my right hand, extend my left arm to the left, and then lower my left leg to the right, keeping my hips flat on the floor. Now this is a stretch for the IT band, and the IT band runs all the way from the glute down to the knee. And you're still trying to pull the leg in towards your head and towards the ground at the same time. You probably won't get a lot of range of motion out of this stretch, A lot of us are very tight in the outer legs. Now I'm just going to release that leg. Extend it out long. And just do the same thing on the other side. Bring that right leg in. And then bring it around the ribs and up towards the shoulder, keeping the left hip flat to the floor. It's a good compression for the hips. Now from here, I'm going to bring my leg back to center, loop my strap around my foot. And then I forgot to tell you here, these straps are super cheap. You can get them at Walmart for like $5. I do suggest you buy a strap, yoga blocks if you are a beginner. Also suggest a mat with alignment lines. So, of course here, both feet are flexed, both thighs are flexed. I'm pulling my right leg in towards my head. This is reclined hand to big toe pose. Now I'm extending my left arm to the left and releasing my right leg to the right for an inner thigh stretch. From here, I'm going to bring my leg back to center, switch the grip of the strap, take my right hand over to the right and release my right leg to the left. And as you can tell, I don't have as much range of motion in this leg. This is the leg that's giving me problems. This is the IT band I'm having trouble with. If you happen to have some pain in the outside of that knee area, it's most likely your IT band, and it takes a long time to heal that. And the only thing you can do really is just stretch and stretch and stretch. I'm sure you've heard me say in previous videos I injured mine on top of the inflammation I'm having, so I'm trying my best to let that heal. Now I'm just gonna release the strap, set it to the side, and we're gonna come into happy baby pose. So I'm gonna bring both legs in towards the chest. This is full wind removing pose. I forgot to tell you this. You're just bringing both knees in, keeping the low back flat, trying to keep the shoulders flat. This is a good low back opener, hip opener. Okay, now we're going to do happy baby pose. So, no, we're not going to do happy baby pose. I apologize. We're going to do supine twist. So all I'm doing is extending the arms out to a T and releasing both legs down to the left. Now you can do this straight leg or bent knee. I prefer the bent knee version, and I take my bottom leg and stack it on top of my left leg. I'm sorry, my right leg. That just gives you a little deeper stretch in this position. Super good for the low back. You're going to look to the right. Keep your right shoulder on the floor. Now I'm going to bring the legs back center and just release them down to the other side. And look to the left. I'm going to move my microphone out of the way that was not even on. I do apologize again. I have children, so I have to record these videos when I have time, when the house is quiet. So after I got done with this video, my children came home and I wasn't able to re-record, but I knew that my followers are waiting, so just doing my best here. Now I'm going to bring my legs back. To center, and I'm going to show you, I believe I'm going to show you reclined pigeon. So I'm going to bring my right leg in towards my torso and stack my left foot, my ankle, on top of my right knee. I'm interlacing my hands underneath my right thigh and pulling my right thigh in towards my torso. Then you should feel a stretch in the outer side of your left hip. You want both feet flexed back. I believe this is also called a reclined figure 4. Now I'm going to release that right foot down, release the left foot, and then this is the leg that I have a problem with, so I'm not going to show you the full version. I'm just trying to let my leg heal. But I'm going to stack my right ankle on top of my left leg, interlace my fingers behind my left thigh, and then pull my left thigh in towards my torso. I do want to say here too, to remind you that I do offer live classes out of my home in Sparta, Tennessee, every Tuesday night at 6. Just message me on here, or you can find me on Facebook at Sparta Warrior Yoga, or Instagram at Warrior Yoga 38583. So from here, we're going to come into Happy Baby. Going to keep your low back on the floor, bring your legs in. Now you're going to bring your arms in between your legs. Your elbows come to the inner part of your knees and your hands come to the outside of your feet. Now you're pulling your feet down towards the floor, trying to get your knees horizontal with the floor, keeping your low back on the floor, and then taking your elbows and pulling your legs apart for an inner thigh stretch. So this is good for the low back, inner thighs, and hips. Then you just rock side to side like a happy little baby. I also do live classes at a Cookville location at Cane Creek Recreation Center, Sundays at 2:15. Again, you can message me for those details. Now, this is a pose that I really don't care for. You probably won't see me do this pose. I just don't feel a lot from it. So I'm putting my hands underneath my glutes, coming up onto my elbows, extending my legs out long, and just lay your head back. This is fish pose. This is supposed to be a shoulder opener, a neck opener. It's just not comfortable to me. I like the supported fish pose, but this one is just not for me. So from here, we're going to do supine butterfly, or Supta Baddha Konasana. I showed you butterfly in one of the previous videos. So you're going to kiss the soles of the feet together, scoot the pelvis in towards the heels, open the legs up to the side, and then just lay back. This is a good hip stabilizer if you're dealing with a pelvic tilt or one hip further forward than the other. This is good to get your hips back into alignment. I like to extend the arms overhead and grab opposite elbow. So to come out of it, just push up onto the forearms and then the hands and sit up. Then I'm going to show you Virasana or Hero Pose. I showed you Hero Pose in one of the other videos, so this is going to be Supine Hero Pose. So I'm just going to bring the legs behind me bent, tops of the feet come to the floor. You're going to keep your knees together and try to flex your thighs. Oh, that's where I got a cramp. Forgot about that. So it happens a lot. I get the hip cramps. I'm not Superman, y'all. So anyway, you're going to keep the thighs tight and knees together and try to push the pelvis forward for you and even more stretch into the psoas and the hip flexors. Then you just lay down onto the back. And this is just a slight back bend here. And you can extend the arms up overhead and grab opposite elbow here if you'd like to also. And if this is tight, too tight on your hips, you can sit on a block and just stay up tall. Now, just sit up the same way you did last time. Come up onto the forearms and the hands and then push up. And then we will do our very last pose, corpse pose or Shavasana. You never want to leave this pose out. So just extend the legs out about mat distance. Let them fall open. Start to lay back. Let the arms fall open. Just let everything go. Clear the mind. Say a prayer if you'd like. Just let this time be yours and breathe. Now I encourage you to stay in your Shavasana as long as your day allows. Usually at least 3 to 5 minutes is a good time. So I'll start to sit up here in a minute. And I hope you've enjoyed this intro to yoga class. Be sure to watch these videos from the first to the last. You can watch them as many times as you'd like to memorize the poses before you move on to our beginner flows. And don't forget, if you did enjoy this video, to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much for working out with me today. Namaste, and stay strong, warriors.
This is Sparta!